time, I would like to ask the members of the board and staff to introduce themselves. Starting across the room.
Dr. Zawala, Assistant Superintendent, Educational Services.
Vaughn Myers, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources.
Kirsten Perez, Assistant Superintendent, Business Services.
Ron Wolf, trustee.
Rick Video, trustee.
Gino Borgioli, trustee.
Dr. David Gerard, trustee.
Thomas Arnett, trustee.
Bob Benevento, board president.
Welcome back, everyone. Steve Conda, superintendent.
And J.D. Giancarlo, Secretary to the Superintendent.
Okay. I don't believe we have any recognition events this evening, do we? Am I missing anything? No recognitions tonight? Okay. So the next item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda and approval of the consent calendar. Now, before we go forward with that, we did have one request to move an item and a subsequent request to actually pull the same item from the consent item. That would be consent item F1E. This is with respect to the law firm mentioned in that one, Burke, Williams, and Sorensen. So that has been pulled from the agenda for this evening. The original request for change was submitted by Mr. Gerard, and the concern and the reason for it being pulled is that this is a firm with which we have been involved with litigation. They're representing us, and it could be a personnel-related matter. And I would ask Mr. Gerard, with respect to his questions, to please set up a one-on-one meeting with the superintendent to discuss his concerns, and then subsequent to that meeting, we can then bring the item back forward to the board. Okay? Thank you. So with that one change to the consent calendar, the withdrawal of F1E, I entertain a motion to adopt the agenda and to approve the consent calendar in one motion.
So moved.
That was Mr. Wolf. This is for both items. And may I entertain a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Arnett. Okay, thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we have 3 opposed.
3, so this is
3, so that means we cannot move forward on the agenda. All right.
Brenda, I need to know who all said opposed. I'm so sorry.
Okay, the
We do a roll
oppositions. Well, the oppositions were Mr. Borgioli, Mr. Dio, and Mr. Gerard. Okay.
So we have many items on consent, 30-something items, I think, that we have to move forward to do business in the district. So we would ask for the board to reconsider and adopt the consent.
I'd like to make a motion if I could. I'd like to move that we amend tonight's agenda such that we hold an organization meeting for the purpose of electing the president and vice president until new board members are seated at the December meeting.
And that subject was one that I anticipated, and that decision was mine and mine exclusively. And the reason I chose not to go forward with that item this evening is because I think, on behalf of the community, all 7 members of the board should be present. Whether or not the outcome is what we desire is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that we've had 7 members on this board. We've been operating with 6 for the last 10 months. We have 6 present here this evening. And to go forward tonight, we could possibly end up in a deadlock again, which would only cause perhaps further embarrassment for the district. We've been operating in this mode with 6 members for the last, like I said, 10 months, give or take. For one more meeting, I believe we can go forward.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move forward an organizational meeting that is not on the agenda.
Discussion.
Any comments?
Yes, comments.
Yeah, I actually have some.
Well, since you made the motion, perhaps I can let Mr. Borgioli go first.
Well, I'm just relating it to the December 15th, 2015 meeting in which the board chose to have, because we were 3-3, in order to continue the meeting and do the district's business, the board agreed to have the current board president at that time be the interim president until the June 7th primary, and until a new trustee was elected, and a vote would be taken upon that. And so my feeling is we have to abide by the board's decision. It's irrelevant if a trustee is here, you need a quorum, which is 4. I did talk to the senior director of board policy at the CSBA, and again, all you need is a quorum to continue with the vote. So I feel that we have a quorum here. It doesn't matter. But once Tom was sworn in, you were officially relieved of your interim position. And that's what I'm concerned. You made a promise, the board made a promise in December. I'd like to live and abide by that promise that we made in December.
Any comments? Dave, you have comments?
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, well, it is true that on December 15th, we had a deadlock, and I did break the deadlock so that we had a 4-2 vote, so that Bob could serve as interim president until the 7th board member vacancy was filled. Let's note that in June, my colleague Trustee Borgioli several times requested a special meeting to swear in the new trustee in July so that we could avoid the conundrum that we have right now, so that we give our board a 7-member board with a new organization going fresh with a new trustee. This was denied. I requested again on July 14th that we put the organization meeting on the August 2 meeting. Requested that to the superintendent, and I got a simple answer of have a great summer. I didn't understand why we were not having the board organization tonight until this afternoon when I found out that Trustee Riebisch apparently is out of the country. And I was a little surprised about that because we've known for a year that today would be a board meeting. I myself cut short, or actually started late, a trip out of the country, missing half of the conference for the June 21st meeting. I made that sacrifice. I'm a board member. That's a very important responsibility to me. And so I am a little surprised that we would, without any explanation, until today, that we take this off the board agenda. The community's been waiting. The community voted back in June. It's now August. And I don't really understand why we need to wait. In any case, there's a requirement to have 4 votes for any president, vice president. So we do have 6 members here. So we could have a 3-3 tie, in which case we put it over to next meeting, or we could have a 4-2 or a 5-1 or 6-0, hopefully a 6-0. I mean, I didn't think this would be such a big deal. I think Trustee Borgioli and I in particular are trying to prevent this from happening, but we have been blocked at every point to try to get this done in a rational, logical fashion. Certainly when we came on the board, we had the organization meeting after our election immediately upon our swearing in. And I felt that we should have the same to complete the rest of the year with Trustee Arnett.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, I'd like to say, I think we have an obligation also to all of our fellow trustees. If there were any other trustee not here tonight, no matter who it was, I would say, hold on until we get that first meeting where all seven of our trustees are here. We've heard so much over the last year of I'm sick of 3 to 3 tongues. I am sick of it. I could have broken them several times, but at the next board meeting, when we have all trustees here, all 7 trustees, then we will know if it's a 4 to 3 vote, when we reorganize, who our officers are. The other thing, let's remember, why did this situation occur? Amy Porter Jensen left this board for generally a very specific reason. I don't want to rehash that all over again. But we would never be in this situation right now had some of the things occurred at that time happened. It would not have taken place. I'm sorry, folks, but I will stay with my position of stating that we wait until the next board meeting, because I cannot answer my constituents or the constituents of the people in the community by saying, well, there was, and who knows when one of us may be absent for whatever reason, a death in the family or whatever. But the thing is, we're talking 2 weeks here. Thank you.
Mr. Arnett, do you have any comments?
So it's interesting, I think since the election happened, when when a lot of people that supported me, we probably were going home that night celebrating, thinking that, okay, the guy that we supported has won. This issue is heavily weighing on my mind. Because the truth is that I didn't run for the school board to be a part of a dynamic of trying to be involved in power struggles, of trying to control things. One of my main objectives, probably more than, at this point, probably more than any particular policy before the board, is trying to get the board back to a state where we can work together, where we don't have a situation where board members feel like they need to be trying to take advantage of the technicalities of policy to control different situations. And frankly, I think that's important because in a democratic system like the one we have, with democracy will function. Democracy will exist in this board no matter how we behave. But for democracy to function well, we've got to get to a place where we can work together. And so, so given that context, I think that it's important that the decision be made not based on trying to seize opportunities for making inroads with one agenda or another, but really having an opportunity for us all as a complete board to sit down together. So I would be in favor of waiting until the following week, until the following meeting.
You are recognized.
May I be recognized?
You may be recognized.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, just like when you don't want to yield the floor, please continue.
I understand where you're coming from, but I'm going to go back to the December 15th meeting, and I'm going to go back to what the Senior Director of CSBA Policy Division told me. We need a quorum tonight. And relative to what went on in December, you have to honor that. And I, on June 2nd, at the open session, asked for a special board meeting. I followed it up with an email. On the second meeting in June, in open session, I asked for a special board meeting. And I followed it up with an email. On July 8th, after the ROV certified, I sent another email. And I always send it to the superintendent, board president, and one other trustee. And so I've given 60 days for the superintendent or the board president to reach out to me to have a dialogue to see how we can get past this. I anticipated this happening too, and that's why we should have called for a special board meeting. The folks, the MIG, my comrades there all agreed that a special board meeting should have taken place. But to not even reply to my request, you talk about respect and dignity. There's no respect or dignity when you don't even reply to a request. And so I gave people opportunities for dialogue, and that wasn't even considered or respectfully replied to. So I understand that, but a motion is on the table, and we have to vote on it.
Mr. Gerard, having heard testimony or whatever you want to call it, commentary here, do you wish to withdraw your motion at this point in time and avoid embarrassing the board further?
And I don't think that was an appropriate.
Point of
comment.
order, this isn't even on the agenda and
That's
you
point
need
of
to allow
order, Mr.
public
President.
comment.
Thank you. Thank you. So, at this point, do you have a motion? Do you wish to withdraw? You basically heard commentary from board membership. You'll end up with a 3-3 tie. So rather than belaboring this further, I'd like to ask you to withdraw the motion. Let's get back to the business at hand, which is to basically approve the agenda, approve the consent calendar, and get down to business.
I've done this once before, and we see what's happened. And I could do it now. But what happens if someone else is absent next week? And the next week after?
I understand your point. We'll take that forward at that point in time. But at this point in time, we have business at hand we need to conduct, and we've already been sitting here for 20 minutes discussing this. Will you please move on? I would ask you to respectfully withdraw that.
There's a motion and a second, I think we can vote.
Yeah, no, you can withdraw.
Well, you know, I would like some promises. I would like some promises that when we have a situation like this where someone is on a scheduled vacation, that we're informed about this. I mean, this is not an emergency. This is not like someone is ill. And, you know, when was this known? When was this known?
So, there's lots of issues here. One key issue, which was mentioned, is that this is not on the agenda to add an agenda item, and it would have to go through some emergency vote in consideration of urgency. So I think there's a challenge there. But you know, I want to talk to the importance of the agenda item itself. Donna had a schedule, and she let us know that she was on vacation, and we intended, and she tried to set up a ship-to-shore line, and it wouldn't work. So the intention, and this was just about at agenda prep, that we determined that it would not happen. So agenda prep with Ron and Bob in the course of regular agenda prep, we talked about items, and this item was held to what I believe everybody heard at the time in December, that until we get a full board, once we get a full board, then we'll go ahead with the president. It's not a reorganization per se, but it could be considered that, the president and vice president. And so I also suggested that we, knowing that it would probably be a 3-3 if Donna wasn't here, or it could be a 4-2, but out of respect of her and being part of this as an important vote, Bob had made a determination that it wouldn't be on the agenda.
Yeah, I understand.
And I support that, in that this is really out of consideration for having the full board here. And if this board is going to heal in any way, it will be important, because it is a critical decision for the board in making that final determination of who's going to be president, even though it is only for a few months.
Or maybe 2 weeks. So, with that in mind.
So apparently, when will she be back? I mean, will she be back by the next?
She'll be back for the next
one.
one.
Next week.
Yeah.
You know,
And movie in country, and if she or anybody else can't make it, they could call in. She's off on a ship somewhere out in the middle of the ocean. Who
Okay,
knows
well,
where.
in this situation, I'll withdraw the motion. Yeah, I'll withdraw the motion. I did this once before. Of course, it won't be reported, as it wasn't before. I was the author of that motion. I was the author of that motion. It was a 4-2 vote. It was not an easy vote, but I did it in the interest of allowing people to speak. There were a number of people in the room that night, and I did it. I'll do it again. I think it should be noted that the trustee took a vacation that essentially has stopped us from conducting normal business. We do have a quorum. Out of respect to our new trustee, I'll yield, and we can go forward with business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
If there's no further comment, I'd like to reconsider the motion to adopt the agenda with the one change as noted earlier. May I have a motion to approve the agenda? have a motion? Mr. Wolf, may I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Arnett. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
2 nays, Mr. Borgioli, Mr. Padilla. Motion carries 4-2. May we have a motion to adopt the consent calendar?
So moved.
Mr. Wolf? May we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Arnett? Okay, and all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. Approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of June 21st. May I have a motion to approve? Mr. Wolf. Anybody choose a second?
Second.
Mr. Gerard. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay. Next item on our agenda is public comment and communications. This is an opportunity for communication regarding items not on the agenda. Members of the public may address the board regarding items on the agenda immediately prior to their being discussed by the board. I have a number of speaker cards this evening. The first card I have is Claudia Rossi. Is she here?
I wanted to express a sincere welcome to our newest trustee, Arnett. It was quite an honor in my life to serve this district, to support the work of teachers, administrators, and all of the employees in the service of our students who, after all, are at the center of everything that we do. And make no mistake about it, they're watching and they're listening and they're learning. This room will be filled with students in the future, in the very near future, and they're paying attention. Our sincerest welcome. Know that those of us that care about our district are watching closely, and that's a promise. I think it is evident that you will be working with stellar characters and leaders, Mr. Benevento, Ron Wolf, Donna Rebush. But you'll also be serving alongside people who are disruptive and whose very presence on the board continues to offend us every time. It's very difficult to watch some of these people sit in the presence of others that are trying to do the work of the district. But by all means, know that you are most welcome. We wish you every kernel of knowledge and patience as you will need it, and know that your community is watching and supportive of the district and supportive of you. And again, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker card we have is Ida Cazares.
Good evening, Tom. Welcome to the board. On the December 15th, we were supposed to be voting for a new president tonight. It's right here. It's in the minutes. And that's what I thought we were doing tonight. I'm pretty disappointed that it's not happening, even though a person is not here. A person has not been here in the past, and votes have happened. So if someone else is not here next week, are we not going to vote for another person again because that person is not here? That person is not here, so we move on. This further fuels the distrust that parents have. It's almost like, you won't pat my back, I won't pat your back. And the students, yes, Ms. Mosi, the students will be seeing that. You're absolutely right. And it's sad. It's sad, and it's extremely frustrating to see. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brian Sullivan.
Thank you. I have a couple items to talk about. First one is your agenda item A1, swearing in of Mr. Arnett. Good evening, Superintendent Tondo, board members and staff. Mr. Arnett, as a resident of Morgan Hill, I would like to welcome you and thank you for stepping up to serve on the Morgan Hill Unified School District as a trustee. I'm hopeful that your number one goal will be to serve the entire student population and do what is best for their educational achievement. As president of the Charter School of Morgan Hill, I am hopeful that we can work together collaboratively, learning from each other, our different systems, so as to increase the overall achievement levels of all students at the oversee and help. Again, Mr. Arnett, thank you for your service to our community. On another note, the subject of the vote this evening. I agree, it was on the December 15th agenda, that after the first meeting that the new trustee was sworn in, there would be a vote. Mr. Arnett was sworn in this evening, I understand. I wasn't here to hear it, apologize. But due to one trustee being gone, the vote would have been 3-3. Or it could have been 4-2. Or it could have been 6-0. Or it could have been 5-1. We don't know. But in all deference to the one trustee that's not here, all board members should be there for that important action, not have one missing. I would say the same thing, Mr. Gerard, if you were out on a ship, I would hold off that vote. For you, Mr. Borgioli, for you, Mr. Padilla, same thing. All board members should be there for that very important vote. Thank you.
And I have one more card, and that would be Julie's instrument.
Point of order. When was that card given to you, sir?
Yeah, Julie, please step forward.
Point of order. In your own
You're
paperwork,
not-
it says
I'm sorry. You're not-
prior to the meeting
Julie,
being
please start. Thank you.
called
You
to
have 3
order.
minutes.
Right, I understand what the audience member is saying, and I should have turned my card in before the agenda started. But I had no idea that an agenda item was going to be added. And that's the whole purpose of the Brown Act, to put on the agenda what's going to be discussed by the board so that the public knows in advance and can come to the board meeting and provide comments or listen for the vote. So I've never experienced a board agenda item trying to be added at the meeting. It's illegal. I hear you violate the Brown Act, you violate the Brown Act, you violate the Brown Act all the time. To me, unless you can get an attorney to tell me differently, I believe this was a huge Brown Act violation. The only thing is, you didn't take action, so there's nothing that can be done about it, and there's no, it's like no, I don't know what the expression is, but no foul, no hit, no foul, or something like that. No harm, no foul, right. But you can't add an item. Now, I'm sitting there trying to think and I'm going to take more than 3 minutes, but I'm sorry, tonight's just not a real guideline night. I'm sitting there trying to think, okay, first of all, I agree that the board members should have been told ahead of time. They should have known before the agenda was posted. They should have known. So I understand that. Second, I understand why such an important action would need all 7 board members, considering the division on the board. If we didn't have the division on the board, it would be a different story, but we do have the division on the board and we know it, so it's a good thing to do. And I would hope that if Mr. Borgioli or Badillo or Gerard are absent next meeting, that the same thing would happen, that they need to be there for that vote and for that action as well. So I think there was one other thing I wanted to point out, but I can't think of it. I'm just really disappointed. I know what it was. So I was sitting there thinking, how could this have maybe been handled without putting another agenda item on? And maybe it could have been handled by when you're approving the agenda, because that is on the agenda, approval of the agenda and consent items. It could have been, maybe someone could have said, I move that we amend the agenda item. Even that is a violation of the Brown Act because, again, the public needs to be able to know in advance what's going to take place at the board meeting. So, those are my comments. And that's why I was late in turning in my card.
And taking that as an example, Ms. Fitch has decided that she would like to submit a card. Karen Fitch, next speaker.
Typically, I turn in my card on time. I'd like to know if the December 15th meeting minutes were approved the following meeting. Because if they were, then we need to be voting on the president right now. Secondarily, I took time off my vacation because I was told that night, because I was here, we'd be electing the president the night that the new trustee was sworn in.
All right, moving on. The next item in our agenda is item E, communications.